Welcome to How to Turn Your Skills into an Online High Ticket Offer. In this series, I'm going to be walking through step by step what it takes to actually build a high ticket offer from nothing other than the skills that you already possess. Now, this is specifically for commercially skilled professionals, anyone who's just come out of a job and doesn't possess a skill that could be valuable in the world of business. I highly recommend develop a skill first, whether it's in sales, in marketing, something commercially valuable before going in to start your own business. However, if you are commercially skilled already and you feel like you're leveraging your skill set to build someone else's business and you really just want to do it for yourself, then this is everything you need to take that skill into a business. So across the next 4 episodes, I'm going to be walking through everything from how to identify the problem and build the offer, then building the systems required to operate the business without using too much of your time, then how to generate leads and nurture them before your call, and then finally taking sales calls, onboarding new clients, iterating the offer and doing it all over again. So I'm going to cover everything. It's going to be quite comprehensive. So I'd advise you to take as many notes as possible and implement everything I say. Information is absolutely everywhere, but if you actually want to make something work, then you need to focus on the implementation. In this first episode, I'm going to be walking through how to identify your problem and actually build the offer. Step 1 is where most people go wrong. Most people think in order to start a business, they need the perfect idea. And I'm here to tell you that that is false information. In fact, what you need isn't an idea. What you need is a problem. Now, businesses need to solve problems because people are only going to invest money into something if it solves a big enough problem that they're experiencing. And there's 3 things that you need to be aware of when you identify this problem. The problem even needs to cost a lot of money. So perhaps a business is struggling with lead generation, for example. That's a bottleneck to the business because without leads, they can't sign new clients. Without new clients, they can't generate enough revenue. So without leads, it's costing them a lot of money, meaning they're willing to pay a fraction of what it's costing them to not have leads to get leads. So the first thing is it needs to solve a financial problem. The second is time. So if it costs someone a lot of time to achieve the outcome that you're able to, or that your offer will help them to achieve, then that is important enough for them to spend money on. And then the final thing is frustration. Frustration is more of a B2C challenge. What you find is things like weight loss coaches prospects could be frustrated with the fact that they've been overweight for many years, and that's going to encourage them because there's an emotional driver there for them to invest in a solution. So long as your problem solves one of these 3 things, whether it's a time issue, whether it's a financial issue, or whether it's a personal frustration, then that problem is likely viable enough to create a solution out of. Now, once you have the problem, the next thing you want to think about is, well, why are you uniquely positioned to actually solve that problem? So a problem is one thing, but you need to be able to have a solution for it. So we need to think about your unique positioning. Now, unique positioning is usually based on the skill set that you possess, right? So let's say, for example, you are uniquely skilled at sales, right? Now, the skill of sales solves a wide variety of problems across the B2B space because sales is essential for a business to grow. Without sales, a business isn't really a business, it's nothing but an offer. So salespeople can really leverage that skill set to help multiple people. And the reality is most salespeople are doing this already because you're working in a business where they require sales support because either the founder doesn't have the time to do it themselves or they don't have the skill set to do it. So they need to hire a sales team who can deliver that better than them. So sales, you help with lead generation. So if you're an appointment setter, you help them to bring new business in. Then you can also help with pipeline management. Obviously, this is something that most founders struggle with a lot because it becomes very chaotic when there's so many areas of the business that need work in. Managing pipeline, managing prospects, people who haven't bought yet but are in the ecosystem can become a challenge, and this is one thing that salespeople are great at. And then closing or generating revenue, right? This is a massive skill because, like I mentioned, businesses need a cash intake, a consistent cash intake in order for them to grow, in order for them to be able to reinvest back into the business. So salespeople offer a wide range of solutions for a company and ultimately solve a lot of problems. You can also look at marketing, for example. Now, marketing are similar. They can support with lead gen, demand gen. Marketing can help to build funnels, run ad campaigns, and all of this is to generate more revenue. So your unique positioning is going to come down to what are you good at, and then how can you leverage the skills that you possess already to help to build a business, or to solve problems that business owners experience. So your unique positioning is what you need to really focus on here, because if there's a problem that you're aware of, you need to make sure that you are uniquely positioned to solve that problem. Otherwise, there's really no point in building a business around it. Now, with step 2, this is where you want to really focus down on finding the buyer. Right now, a lot of people will look at this and say, okay, who's your ICP? And they would make a generic demographic statement, something like men in their 20s or entrepreneurs between 25 and 35. And that is a very generic ICP. We want to go a step further and we want to build a buyer profile. So just to give you some clarity on where we are right now, you have your problem that you're uniquely positioned to solve. And what I would recommend doing after each of these episodes is actually going away and breaking down these steps and starting to actually build the offer out. But essentially, you have a problem that you're uniquely positioned to solve based on your skill set. The next thing you want to identify is who experiences that problem. Now, the person who experiences that problem is going to be that generic ICP that I mentioned, right? The man in their 20s, or maybe we have to go into a little bit more depth than that. Man in their 20s covers so many different types of people, but maybe we want to say online entrepreneurs between 20 and 25 who run coaching or consulting businesses. That is more specific, but it's still a very broad category when we're thinking about the buyer profile, but that's where we want to start. And when you're breaking down that buyer, you want to start at the top and then you just want to add layers to it and continue to layer that until you have the perfect buyer profile. And the buyer profile is the psychology. So the psychological reasons why that person should buy. So psychological reasons to buy, right? It goes far beyond who they are, and it actually encompasses how they buy, what they're experiencing, what their current emotions are. So when you're building your buyer profile, you want to go deep into things like, what are their fears? So you want to think about their fears. We want to think about their desires. We want to think about their emotions. We want to think about their objections that they experience. We want to think about what they've done in the past already. Have they tried to overcome this problem already? Have they maybe made an investment in someone else and it's gone pear-shaped? What do they actually want? What's their desired outcome? Now, this is going to change depending on the person. And the best way to really understand who your buyer is often a reflection of yourself. If you're building out a coaching, consulting, some sort of mentorship offer, then usually the buyer is an older version of you. So you can just break down exactly who you were at that moment and the experiences that you had, and then use that to build your buyer profile. But if it's someone you don't know right now, then the best way to do this is through having conversations with people, conducting discovery calls without the sales pressure. We'll get into that in some of the later sessions anyway. But identifying your buyer profile is extremely important. Now, if you want a full breakdown on this, around this video in the link below in the description, I'll attach a link to a crash course. Now, this is a 3-hour-long crash course. It breaks down everything from how to identify your problem, how to build a comprehensive offer, how to sell it, everything you need to build an online business. And within that crash course, there's also a prompt which helps you to build your buyer profile, and it helps you to build it to the absolute specifics. And then based on that prompt, you'll be able to build out a document, and through this document you can basically build your entire business on the back of it. So your sales messaging, your content, all of that sort of stuff will come under your buyer profile. I can't stress how important this step is. If you skip this, then your messaging is going to be generic and you're going to be speaking to someone who you don't truly resonate with. So make sure you nail down your buyer profile. Now, for step 3, this is where we're actually going to be building the business. Now, like I mentioned, right, you've got your problem, you've got your buyer. That's the foundation. Now we want to actually create the solution that solves that problem. So what we don't want to do here is we don't want to just offer a service, right? A service is something commoditized. It's just something that we do for someone else. That's what a service is. Instead, we want to create a comprehensive offer. Now, a comprehensive offer is something that takes someone from their current state right up until their desired state. And your offer needs to be in that gap. Your offer needs to be the entire solution. A lot of people get this wrong because they build an offer which solves one problem ultimately. So something like placements in a sales organization, right? There's a business that needs to grow their sales team and they need new sales rep. So they reach out to a placement organization or some sort of recruitment company, and the recruitment company offers the sales reps. But that's it. And the challenge there is the person who's looking for the sales rep is going to be like, okay, well, yeah, now I've got the sales reps, but I need someone to help me train them. I need someone to help me manage them, because that is the majority of the work that I'm going to ultimately be doing now that I've got this team on my hands. So the commodity is actually placing the sales reps, whereas the comprehensive solution would be placing them, managing them, and training them, and doing the entire cycle from new rep onboarded to closed revenue in the business. And that is what you call a comprehensive offer, as opposed to a commodity like placements or recruitment. So you need to make sure that your offer takes them directly from a current state to a desired state. Now, it's really important, and I want to go back to the example that I just used there. The example of someone who's looking to hire a sales team, they're not looking to hire a sales team because their problem is the fact that they have no salespeople. They're looking to hire a sales team because the problem is they've got so many leads coming through, so much business opportunities coming in, that they can't physically handle it all. They need to focus on service. They need to create content. They need someone else to take over their sales department. So they think they need a salesperson, or they need a few salespeople who can essentially self-manage themselves. But the bottleneck that they'll come across once they hire someone is the whole management training side of things, holding reps accountable and all of that sort of stuff. So if you are going to target that audience, you need to be aware of their problem, their core problem, before they are, because they might think they only want a sales team, but realistically they need everything that comes with that. So you need to offer a fully comprehensive solution. It can't just be a generic service. Now, step 4 is how we validate all of this, because we can come up with a problem that we believe is a big enough problem to solve. We can identify the ICP and we can say, yes, this is exactly who it is who has this problem. We can create a solution for them and say, look, this is the perfect solution. But then it gets to the point where we're about to sell it and they come back and say, actually, we don't need this, or this isn't a priority right now, or we don't have the budget for this right now. And these are all things that could come up if we skip out step 4. Now, step 4 is about validating the offer. Now, validating the offer is super simple. Is literally having conversations with people and asking them if this is something that they would make an investment into. Now, obviously, you're not just going to reach out to a business owner and say, hey, would you buy this, or would you invest in me building out your sales team? Because they're most likely going to resist. If we go to them directly from a place of, are you able to invest into me? Then we're going to create some resistance. Instead, what we want to do is we want to reach out to people we know, ideally in that space, or we want to at least start building connections with people in that space. Specifically, if you're looking to solve a problem that resonates with that person, ideally, what you need to be doing right now before you even launch the offer is starting to connect with everyone who you feel like could be potential clients in the future. But you want to start having conversations with them, and without the sales pressure, get on a discovery call with them and simply ask, firstly, find out if they have the problem, ask your traditional discovery questions. And again, if you check out the crash course, there's a bunch of discovery questions in there. But you want to find out whether they experience this problem firstly. Then you need to just simply ask them, if you were to implement this solution and walk them through the offer that you created in step 3, would this solve your problem? Wait for a yes, wait for a no. If they say no, then find out what else they need, because this is great data for you to then iterate on your offer. But if they say yes, then ask them, and what sort of budget would you set aside for something like this? Ask them and find out whether or not there's any urgency to make an investment. And if you find out that based on a number of different conversations. If you find out that your offer is something that would solve the problem for them and they are willing to invest in it, then you've got yourself a winning offer, and then you can start running in with everything else. But until you get to that stage, don't leave this loop. Stay in a constant loop of iteration, making sure that the market actually wants what you have to offer. Now, step 5 is where it gets really fun. Step 5 is when you know that you have an offer that people want. Your offer solves a valuable problem. You know exactly who your offer is for, and you've really identified what the buyer profile is. You understand their fears, their desires, their pains, their objections, and absolutely everything you need to know about them. So you can create messaging that speaks directly to that person. But the next thing you need, and this is crucial because if you don't get this right, then you're going to be leaving a lot of money on the table. The next thing you need is a product suite. Now, most people who launch an offer, they have their one offer, one pricing, direct, and then ultimately what happens is they have conversations with people, and there's some people who can't invest high ticket but really want what they have to offer, and then they got no solution for them. And also, when you're building your pipeline and you're having conversations with people, you're going to notice that there are going to be a lot of people who just aren't ready to invest right now. But it's important that we still get them in our ecosystem, because that's what's going to help us to generate consistent pipeline in the future. So when we've got clients, we have inbound leads ticking over constantly, we can start putting email campaigns out. So in this product suite, we need 4 different products. Now, the first one we need is the gift. Now, the gift is something that we're ultimately given away for free. Now, the gift could be a YouTube series like this, for example. The gift could be a course that they have to opt into. The gift could be absolutely anything that gives away value for free. And the purpose of giving away a gift is to build trust. Ultimately, we are in a trust economy where people who are going to invest into us, they need to know exactly who we are and what we bring to the table. And they need to be able to trust that we have the right information and we can support and guide people in the correct way. And regardless of whether you're building out a coaching offer, an agency business, something in consulting, whatever that looks like, people need to trust who you are. And the gift is a great way to start building that trust and to start building up your email list or your prospect list. Now, the second thing we need is our product for prospects. Now, a product for prospects is similar to a gift, but it has a different meaning behind it. A product for a prospect could be something that needs a bit more time. So for example, if a gift is a YouTube video or a helpful VSL that might be 20 minutes long, it's not really a massive investment of someone's time or a small investment of money. Whereas your product for prospects is a larger investment in time, or it could be an investment of something financial, maybe $20, $30, pounds, wherever you are. It could be something small that they have to put skin in the game to achieve. For example, my product for prospect is the Business Builders Crash Course. Now, the reason that's a great product for prospects is it doesn't require an investment, but it requires time and energy. It's 3 hours long, it's 8 episodes, you have to opt in, and this enables you to be a owned prospect. Now, you want to build your list of owned prospects, not to sell them, not to be the pushy salesperson, but to nurture them with email content, with assets, with more YouTube videos that you can post in your email list. You want to build that list so over time they start to accumulate, they start to see more of you, and then they come in inbound, or you contact them directly and they are ready to work with you. Your product for prospects should be an investment in something. Now, mine is an investment in time because it's 3 hours and you need to really work through it to get the outcomes, but it could also be a small investment in money. Now, the third product is your core offer. So your core offer is the high ticket product that you're selling. And in step 6, we're going to walk through how to break that down into multiple different products as well. And then you have your upsell. Now, the upsell is what you do for LTV, which is lifetime value of a client. Meaning when someone's come in and they've invested into your core offering, and then they finish the core offering, they get results, everything's going great. What keeps them in your ecosystem after that? Because what we don't want to do is build a business where there's a constant churn of clients and we need to constantly bring in new clients, because it just creates a lot of headache and it puts us into a sales cycle of signing clients, losing clients, signing more clients, losing clients, and that isn't a fun business. Instead, we want to optimize for LTV, meaning how can we get people in and then keep them there? And this could be something like a community upsell or an additional product that you have on top of your core offering. Now, step 6 is what I spoke about in step 5, where we walk through the core offer and we break it into different pricing tiers. Now, like I said before, right, you're going to have people who come into the business who maybe aren't ready for the high ticket and they need some sort of downsell to get them involved, that we can then upsell them onto our core offering or to the main package that we want. So the best way to do this is to split this into 3 different tiers. So you have your silver package, which is ultimately your downsell. You have your gold package, which is the main offer that you want to get the majority of people on. And then you have your platinum. Now, the way we want to price this is we want to get as many people on the gold package as possible. This is going to be something that is most likely a group environment. Specifically, if you're launching something coaching or consulting, you want a group environment so it's not draining on your time. And then the platinum is more of like your one-to-one offering. And then the silver is more of like a do-it-yourself offering. And this is a combination of like do it, done with you, done for you, and do it yourself, something like that, some sort of group offering. Now, this is where you want to get most people, because the ticket we want to have here is high ticket, but it's not draining of our time. So let's say, for example, we price this one at £5,000, for example, and then the silver is the downsell. So ultimately we try and sell people on the gold, but then if they can't afford the gold, then we go down to the silver, which we could have at maybe £2,000 or something like that. And that's a way for them to get their foot in the door. And then once they experience the program, then we can upsell them onto the 5,000 and all they have to do is pay the difference. So it makes a lot of sense. It's a way that we can get more cash coming in consistently. Then your platinum, you want to drive the value of your platinum up extremely high. You want the difference between your gold and your platform to be more significant than the difference between your silver and your gold, because ultimately you don't want many people going on the platinum, but it's great to have a price anchor which is high. They can see the value of it and ultimately go down to the gold. So the platinum could be listed at something like 11,000, which is more one-to-one. So they can see the 11, they see the 2, and naturally they're going to opt for the 5. So this has been a full breakdown on everything to do with how to find the problem, how to find the buyer, and how to create an offer that solves their problem. Naturally, this goes into so much more depth. So I highly recommend checking out the crash course. I'll leave the link in the description, but I'll see you on the next video where we walk through how to actually build the tech stack, the systems, and how to create a business that operates without you actually needing to do everything. So I'll catch you on the next episode. Peace out.